Hey, we have the experience evangelist on the show today. Who's that? What's that? Stay tuned. Coming up today, live in the lab with Keith Bilous, my friend, Shawn Nason joining me, and maybe an appearance by Elvis. Hi, I'm Keith Bilous, and this is Live in the Lab. All right. A little bit of weirdness in front of the camera there for anybody who's watching, because I'm like, hey, where's the button? Where's the button? I can't get it going. How did you go viral on TikTok? You were on America's Got Talent. How much did you get paid to be on AGT? Oh, you didn't get paid. Keith and Steve here in Live in the Lab.
You're a great interviewer. I love it.
48 miles, 48 hours. And not just once. You ain't seen nothing yet. I hit 50 last time, and I'm like, yeah, things are a little different than they were 10 years ago. So trust me, things are to keep. You have no time for the BS that much of society seems to put on the table. Why is that? What you're talking about is real right now. There's just no bullshit here, but it's just real. We brought you in with some Marley. I said, Joseph, let's talk music for a second. You said, Keith, oldies, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I've never talked to a sir before. Why are you a sir? In many ways, we're the same story. I came from nothing. You came from nothing. I think the old saying goes that if you want a trophy, you climb Everest. If you want respect, you climb K2. I've built an AI myself, and it's pretty fascinating when you can have a conversation with yourself with your own knowledge. Have you done that before? Why are we rushing to make these tools if they're all they're going to do is hurt humanity? Does the world need an Oppenheimer moment with AI?
What a fun show.
Oh, hey, we're live! Was just flossing my teeth. Oh, did you miss the morning show? You missed the morning show. Shawn Nason, you missed the morning show. This morning on Mornings in the Lab, I sat down with Nicole Bernard and C. Marty Fit, and we learned that if you want to live longer, Shawn Nason, if you want to live longer, and hey, I know we're going to talk about life today's show. Oh, I'm excited to sit down with Shawn today. Oh, we are excited. Disney guy, experience guy, cancer survivor guy. Not making light of it. No. Definitely not. I get the biggest heart today. I get the biggest heart today for this fellow coming in the lab today, Shawn Nason. We're going to talk empathy, neurodiversity. We're going to talk everything under the spectrum. Oh, I guess every pun intended. All joking aside, Shawn. Hey, if you didn't hear, to live longer, you want to floss your teeth. True story. Yeah. Revealed this morning, Mornings in the Lab. We go Monday to Friday. Start your day, wake up your day, a little bit of accountability, a little bit of friendliness, those friendly voices to get you going. Maybe you want to hit the snooze. You picked up your old iPhone, the alert pops up. You got to subscribe to the channel. Just subscribe to Mornings in the Lab. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, Keith Bilous, or Mornings in the Lab, or Business Athlete Performance Lab. I'm ubiquitous. So you roll over at, 7:58 a.m. Eastern time. You're like, oh, open your eyes up. And you're like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. I don't want to do anything. And then the alert pops up on your phone. It says, Mornings in the Lab is live right now on YouTube. Or it might even say, oh, Mornings in the Lab is live on LinkedIn. Or it might say, Mornings in the Lab is live on X or Instagram or Twitch or every other damn planet in the planet. Every other streaming platform on the planet. So I invite you to check out the morning show. Myself, Nicole Bernard, C. Marty Fit, friends from around Shawn Nason joined me on the show a couple weeks back to make an announcement. That was awesome, Shawn. So check it out, and you'll learn stuff. You'll learn shit. You'll learn that if you floss your teeth, you might live longer. And I learned from Dan Go a few weeks ago, big LinkedIn personality, that if I did a certain exercise, I'd live longer too. So between me doing a certain exercise from Dan Go and between me flossing my teeth, nation, oh, nation, I am determined to live a long time. It's true. So you're stuck with me. You wonder if I'm going to show up next week or next month. I'm going to be here because I'm flossing my teeth. I'm doing the exercise Dan Go taught me. And that just means that I'm going to be here all the time. So you can commit to me like I'm committing to you. Tune into the morning show, Mornings in the Lab, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We drop for a couple hours. Great conversations to start your day. Tips and tricks to move your life forward. Some accountability stuff. Great guests. Okay, I'm gonna put the toothpick aside. I'm gonna invite in my friend Shawn Nason. I know he is patiently. I'm gonna bring him in with some music today. I don't bring in guests with music, except today Oh, there we go, Nason. The man on fire. Joining me. There we go. Oh, yeah, this is good. This is really good. Shawn Nason, where are you joining us from today, my friend?
Hey, brother, I am joining you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Gloomy Cincinnati, Ohio, but I am here.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. I would love to ask the question right off the bat, if I may.
Yep.
Is it gloomy outside or is it gloomy inside? And with the greatest respect.
It's gloomy outside today. It looks a little dark here inside, but we're doing pretty good today, brother. Doing pretty good.
Awesome. So I'll share with you, outside my windows, just like directly ahead of me, Shawn Nason, it's gloomy as shit right now too. It's raining and miserable, and it feels like more like fall instead of spring here in Winnipeg. So I'm just north of you. You're in Cincinnati, Ohio, Midwest guy. I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Midwest guy. We're probably drinking some similar Kool-Aid here, and maybe clearly some similar weather as well.
Very similar weather, and I'm pretty well over it. I'm ready for some sunshine. This rain every other day is getting really old.
I got to be honest with you. When we met a few weeks back, so glad to have you on the morning show. Another plug for my morning show. Not that I plugged the morning show during my monologue, Shawn, because I do a morning show. So if anybody's wondering, there's a morning show happening on LinkedIn or YouTube. Shawn, there's a morning show. Anyways, as I was talking about the morning show, I was reflecting upon your whole experiences and what we were going to dig into today, and was eager to get to this chat today. But in the same breath, I said to myself, I don't know anybody from Cincinnati. I've been there once. Procter and Gamble. No. Yeah, P&G, right? Yes. Yeah, I was going to say no, Unilever, but no, that's their competitor. They're in New Jersey. I was in Cincinnati once for Procter and Gamble. Oh, there's Elvis.
You hear him in the back.
Awesome. Elvis. Hey, my palm might make some racket too. So why should you be different in Cincinnati?
There you go.
In the brief time that I was there, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It reminded me of Winnipeg. It's simple, Midwest. Everybody was really kind. The architecture reminded me of the same. I got to crack a joke. I went to your downtown mall. It reminded me of my downtown mall. It was half closed.
Oh, brother, it's now no longer in existence.
Oh. So now I know why it was on its way to being closed.
Yeah, it completely, probably like most of the malls in America or in the world.
Yes.
Unless you're the Dubai Mall or massive malls, you are suffering. But I think 4 of the 6 malls in Cincinnati are no longer in existence.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it struck me about yourself, Shawn, when I looked at your influence, your career success, your professional success. Not that this struck me in a negative way. It just struck me that you were in Cincinnati. Right? Because I was like, oh, he's not from New York. He's not from London. He's not from Los Angeles. The dude's from Cincinnati. You know how it made me feel? Awesome. Because I'm in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg and Cincinnati are like in the same bucket of, oh, but you're not in Texas. You're not in LA. You're in Cincinnati or Winnipeg. You grew up in Cincinnati?
I did not grow up. I did not grow up in Cincinnati. We've lived here now. It'll be 10 years coming up in August.
Okay. What prompted the move, Shawn?
My work.
Okay.
I went to work for a university here.
Yes.
In Cincinnati as the chief innovation officer, which is funny that a university would have a chief innovation officer because they're the farthest thing from innovating out there, in my opinion.
They just innovated the way they moved the paper across the desk, Shawn. So it was okay. We're not going right to left anymore. Shawn's like, you guys got to go left to.
Yeah, it was pretty 16 months of, I think I would rather have pulled my fingernails out than had to deal with that experience. And so that moved us here, and we decided it wasn't a bad city. Great city to raise a family in. A great city to be a small business owner in because our cost of living here is pretty reasonable. Actually, I think we just ranked the second best state to live in the United States for cost of living.
Hey, your dollar goes far, right? My dollar goes quite far here in Manitoba as well. And unless you live in that environment, it's hard to wrap your head around, isn't it?
Yeah. So I tell people what we paid for. We have a 3,000 square foot home and a full-size basement. What we paid for that right now you couldn't even buy anything in any major city.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah. You know what I find in our environment, Cincinnati or Winnipeg, Shawn, is that you're taught the price of something, but then when you go into business and you're trying to sell something to somebody living in New York. So for example, I was back in my olden days working on my business and we're pricing things out, and you're like, okay, let's charge them, I don't know, let's charge them 25, making stuff up right now. Let's charge them $25 an hour. Somebody's like, $25 an hour, Keith? That's 10 minutes of parking in New York City. Oh, it's funny because you're in Cincinnati, I'm in Winnipeg. You're not paying $25 for parking or those kinds of analogies. So when you're selling to people in different markets, when you look at a dollar and I look at a dollar, we look at it, I would say probably very similarly in value compared to somebody who's living in a big market.
absolutely.
And there's a business tip here, because if you can find the sweet spot and a price point where it's a lot of money for you, Shawn Nason, but not a lot of money for the company or person living in a certain market, you're off to the races. Where you're charging $2,000 or $1,500 for something, doing it out of Cincinnati, Ohio, delivering it to somebody in a big market, you're making good margin. And somebody's like, how are you doing that? Oh yeah, that's how I'm doing it.
Yep. It's the best of both worlds. Easy to travel here, so great.
That's exceptional. So you have family. So what I find interesting is that you said you worked for a year and a half at the university. Might not have been the best experience, but yet you were able to compartmentalize the work experience from everything else around you in Ohio with your family. And you guys recognize that the work was one thing, but everything else was much greater than that. And you guys stayed.
We did. We, like I said, when I left that job, we started to look around. Okay, do we want to move? And we really didn't.
Yeah.
And let me be real. My job, my wife and I have now lived in 17 homes in 27 years. This being our 17th home that we have now lived in almost 10 years. So put that math together. We basically lived in 16 homes in 17 years.
How old are your kids?
15 and 8.
Ah, so now the story starts to unravel and paint itself. If I may ask you, when did you go through your cancer battle?
2022, so 2 years ago.
Oh, so 2 years ago. Okay, so this is not, because I want to get to that. I was just curious to know if that fed into. So it was the family. You had a young family.
Yeah.
And it was tired of moving around to 1,000 different homes. Your wife's probably, Shawn, we're staying here.
Yeah. So our daughter, when we moved here, our daughter was just going into kindergarten, and my wife had been moved quite a bit in her life.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was like, we're not doing that to our children.
Yeah.
Which I was fine with. Again, which is funny now because, our daughter's now 15, a freshman. And we both have said that when she graduates, we're ready to leave Ohio. And more importantly, just because of the cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do your roots come from, Shawn?
Arizona.
Okay. So I was going to joke, what, Arizona? Sure enough, Arizona. So I understand your blood.
But I don't want to live in Arizona either.
No, I know, but your blood, your body, you're like born. So you're born with the Arizona DNA. So right off the bat, you're cold everywhere else out of the state.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't mind. I did not mind the cold near as much until after I fought my battle with cancer. And I don't know if it was the chemotherapy that does something to you or what. But yeah, get cold pretty easy now, man. So we she's like, where are we gonna go to? And we're like, we don't know, but we lived in Florida for several years, and we're like, we don't know that we want to move back there. So
I have always found it fascinating, Shawn, as a Canadian, watching my American friends move around, because you guys move around. And I have a lot of admiration and respect for it. No, I think I want to go live in Florida for a bit. And I know many times where it's about employment, but not always. I think this is probably political reasons and family reasons, but I find the ease at which Americans move around the country fascinating to me.
I just think it's easier for us than it is for others, and for you in Canada. What I love about Canada and Canadians is it is a very diverse population. When you go
Yes.
from someone, I have a very good friend who lives in Vancouver, and how he interacts in the world compared to very good friends that live in Toronto, to very good friends who live in Montreal and Quebec area. Like it's almost 3 different countries.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that diversity in this country these days, Shawn, in Canada, I'm not going to cast judgment on it. I'm not here to talk politics today. Some would say it's ruining our nation because it's creating a larger gap, but some would say it's fantastic because we're creating a melting pot of human beings. What I can tell you is I love all the different human beings I get to experience and have conversations with. Right. And that's really interesting to me. But I will tell you, as a 50-year-old human growing up here in Canada, it's very much a different country than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And you see it. You absolutely see it. And I frankly welcome it. I welcome it. I welcome the diversity. I welcome the different points of view. And I welcome the conversations with all those that are now living in our country. And you can finish your sentence, Shawn. You talk about somebody living in Vancouver, living in Montreal, living in Quebec, somebody living in the southern United States or the western United States. Like there's some real different POVs happening there, aren't there? Man, yet if you put us all in the same room, like everybody looks the same, right? North American, but yet, wow, have the views become very polarizing.
Yeah.
So
that's sad to me.
Me as well. I would say maybe this is just a good chance for me to pump up. The goal here is with Live in the Lab and this platform that I'm creating with live conversations. My ambition is to have and bring on incredible human beings to have great, diverse conversations, not really worrying about color of skin or sexuality or religion or where you live. Just want to talk to a human being. And then one day when you live on Mars, I want to talk to a Martian. And I want to hear what hurts you. I want to hear what excites you. I want to hear what scares you. And then I want to talk about it. And I don't think there's enough of that in the world today, Shawn. We're served up so much with, here's my Kool-Aid, here's my Kool-Aid, here's my Kool-Aid. Oh, you don't like my Kool-Aid? Okay, I'm going to go somewhere else. Hold on a second here. Can we not talk about why you don't like the Kool-Aid?
I think it's also, we live in a society right now as well, Keith, that lots of people build personas of themselves that they put out to the world through social media that may not be. It was funny. I just had a conversation today with a gentleman in Switzerland, and it was a great conversation. But he had shared with me that he had just read an article that there are more lies told on LinkedIn than all other social media platforms combined.
Oh, interesting. Let's hang on that for a second, Shawn.
You and I met on LinkedIn, Keith, right?
Yes. Yes.
And those that follow me out there or want to come out and follow me, I had 105,000 people today on LinkedIn. And I think what I have come to appreciate is there is a place to live authentically on the platform. And I want to live that. But there's a whole lot of imposters out there.
So this is awesome. I wasn't thinking we were going here this quick in the conversation, but I'm happy to dig into this one with you. Woo, baby, let's go there. First of all, though, Shawn, let's say hi to, because he's listening to us. What's shaking, Christopher Keach?
Look it. Hey, Christopher, how are you doing, buddy? Sure. And I love this. Driving through Hollywood on the way to a meeting, listening to your show. First off, Christopher, bless you that you're driving through Hollywood. In one of my 16 homes previous to Cincinnati, or 17 homes, I lived in Ventura County, I've driven a lot in California, so you'll probably be able to listen to the whole show and the 3 miles that you have to go drive.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. I've recently met Shawn over the last few weeks here, just through some different work experiences. Wonderful human being. He's a great human. And you just meet and you know this, Shawn, when you just meet some people, you're like, oh, you're one of the good ones.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the same way I felt when I met you. Actually, when I met you, I was like, okay, we can't talk. You're like, what do you mean we can't talk? I'm like, no, we got to do it on the air where it's authentic. And Nation, you know what Shawn's response to me was? Excuse me. Fuck that, man. I'm getting to know you now. I want to get to know you. But I was muted since that conversation because I really wanted to spend some time with you here.
You have been. Yeah.
I know, because I wanted to really get here with you and segue into, yes, Chris, the best. See, Shawn knows, man. Shawn's lived in 17,000 homes. So
that's right, 17,000 now. God. And just to be very clear, you wished the rain upon us because now I'm looking outside and it is downpouring.
I sent it.
Of my house.
It's raining out here, man. I'm telling you, I sent it just down south for you, pal.
And what I am most happy about is if you could have seen my front yard and my backyard, dude.
Yeah.
It looked like a forest because it's just been like rain every other day. So our lawn people couldn't come cut. They literally just got in their truck when the rain started to pour. So they just got our lawn cut. So that makes me very happy.
Mine's not cut yet. It's going to be cut here soon. So keeps raining. I'm going to be cutting. Speaking of cutting, let's pivot back to what you shook out here in front of the camera a couple of moments ago before Christopher Keach interrupted our conversation. Shawn, come on, the guy's driving through Hollywood. Unless he's driving hands free, like how's he texting us? Like, Keach, you got to get your hands on the wheel, man.
Siri.
We don't want you to crash.
That's what Siri's for.
Oh, of course, Siri. Yes. Okay. Yeah. There you go. So, we were talking about, you made a statement, a bold one, just like John Kraske last week made a statement. He broke some news here on the show, which is he's going into politics. Now, you are making a bold statement that there are so many fake people on Instagram. I'm sorry, on LinkedIn, that there are more fakeness. There's more imposters on Instagram. There are more imposters on LinkedIn. I'm looking at my Instagram tab in front of me. There are more imposters on LinkedIn than any other or all of the other platforms combined. Shawn Nason, dig into that for me.
Listen, it's simple, right? Like you can it was shocking to me to hear that there were more on LinkedIn combined than all the others, but yet I mean it's frightening at what you can put on your profile. With AI pictures you can put out there, you can create this whole persona and not be who you are. And yeah, I'm like, it's go out and Google. I wanted to do this, and I don't know that there's a way, but I would love to find out how many LinkedIn coaches there are on LinkedIn, because everybody's now an expert on LinkedIn. And tell me this, Keith. Here, let's do controversy. How can you have 20,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I'm being generous, 20,000, and be a LinkedIn expert?
Maybe the question is actually, what defines a LinkedIn expert? Because I'll tell you something, which as I've been building this show, some people have come knocked on my door. Yeah, I'm a LinkedIn expert. I'm like, okay. Then I go look at them. 683 followers or 1,200 followers, and they're proud LinkedIn expert because in their head, they are a LinkedIn expert. So what's the bar to be identified as a LinkedIn expert?
I wish I knew. Now, you're also talking to a guy who has shied away from that. When I started my journey, Keith, on LinkedIn 2.5 years ago, and I've been on the platform, I just got a notification. I've been on the platform 14 years. So when LinkedIn, and it's actually funny, it's been more than, no, it wasn't 14. It was 16 years.
They must have a mass blast, because I got the same email from LinkedIn congratulating me on my anniversary too. Whether it was,
it was when I started my master's program in
Okay.
2000. Part of being in my master's program is you have to build a LinkedIn profile.
Excuse me.
So 2008-ish, right in there, 2008. I'm on LinkedIn. And really did not a whole lot with it, per se, until 2021, when I, at that time, had 5,000 followers. And I thought, dude, I was the shit. I had 5,000 followers. And then I realized that there were people out there with millions, hundreds of thousands. And so when I started out on my journey on LinkedIn, it bugs people. I didn't start out on my journey to get to where I am today to monetize the platform. And I had someone tell me, I don't even understand. What do you mean you're not trying to monetize it? I'm not trying to monetize it. That's not what I have a successful consulting company that is my business, and I don't need to monetize this. So this year, when I hit 100,000 followers in March, I kept getting asked the same question. How do you monetize this? You are an expert on LinkedIn. Who defines what an expert is, Keith? I'm now an expert on LinkedIn because I have 100,000 followers.
You want to grab that?
Oh no,
Hey,
Yeah.
somebody from the consulting business is calling you. They're like, "Hey, Shawn, I got my wallet open."
You do have to see my new phone holder, though, Keith.
Oh, I do. Please do. Oh, it's Groot, baby Groot.
Look at all my Groots.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
It's interesting. So you hit 100,000. You're questioned on how and why you're not monetizing it. But I haven't asked you this question because we haven't had this conversation yet. But I'm going to suspect I know the answer. You believe in what's called community, and you believe that community happens. Typically, what happens, in my point of view, is an audience gets created. Then within the audience, a community happens. Right. And then within the community is people that you tend to then connect with. And then out of that community, sometimes monetization happens. Exactly. But it's not the purpose of it. The purpose is to create community. And it's funny because I've been around the block a little bit. I used to start, I had a little social media company that started communities, built communities, moderated communities, managed communities. So I might know a little about communities. So when I saw the work that you're doing, I'm like, oh yeah, good for him. Because Shawn, I'm just going to go back to Cincinnati, Winnipeg. So since I've been on the platform here for the last few months doing my thing, hey Keith, so how are you monetizing this thing? I'm like, monetizing? Huh? No, I'm just looking to build a community, because once I get a community, then people are going to eat out of my hands. Just sorry to say it that way. That's what it is, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's trust. When you build a community, you build trust. And then somebody's like, hey, Shawn, I need a service. Oh, hey, I know this guy who's an electrician. He can help you out. I love how you've created the words. I love, and I'm not going to steal it because it's all yours, swarm. Like Shawn Nason has built his swarm. That's his community. Everybody else calls them tribes. Shawn calls it a swarm. I love it.
And do you know why?
Tell me.
And you are spot on, Keith. You are like, I did this.
Guys,
I did.
Sorry, one last thing. You have 100,000 people. You're like, yeah, great, 100,000 people, but I don't know, but I got really 1,000 people really engaged with Shawn Nason in my swarm. It's the law of numbers, man, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't know all 100,000, right? Listen, and the whole concept of the swarm comes out of, where'd it go? Sorry.
Yes.
Kiss Your Dragons.
Yes.
So I wrote this with two colleagues of mine during the pandemic. And we started to talk about tribes. And here's what we realized around tribes. When we say, oh, you're part of my tribe. And listen, I can actually talk about this. And because I'm Native American.
Oh,
so
okay.
My father and I'm a registered Native American. I'm part of a tribe. So I can talk about this and talk about it thoughtfully. You go on to our reservation in Lawton, Oklahoma. Generally, we all look alike. People that live on the reservation think a lot alike. They surround themselves with people that do what they do. You hear people say, I've got my tribe. And typically that's those people that, think like you do, believe like you do, act like you do, right?
Yes.
Is that not possibly what has caused such division in our world today?
100% it is. So we live now in a world. It's funny. I've been having this conversation a lot lately, and I want to have it with you. We live in a world of microcultures now. So I'm going to suspect, Nation knows I'm 52. Are you in your 30s, 40s? Oh, same age then. Okay. So we grew up with talking about Friends on Friday and Seinfeld because all of North America watched it Thursday night. We did. 4 channels, macro culture. We all served up the same things. And then since then, Shawn, we've been splintered into a bunch of microcultures. But I'm going to tell you here live in the lab with Keith Bilous. I'm going to make a prediction for you right now, my friend. And it happened over the weekend. And nobody's talking about it, nobody's paying attention. That's fine because I'm going to make money out of it because I'm doing it right now in front of you. So the world's talking about podcasts. They're talking about Netflix, the original Netflix. Binge watch, download and binge watch. What happened on Sunday was the start of a cultural change. They streamed a 3.5-hour live event called the Tom Brady Roast. For what reason? The only reason it went live was to prove and continue proving capacity to do the Super Bowl and further live events in the future. Because we're going to move back to a culture of macro cultures and live event programming because that's where the ad dollars are, Shawn Nason. So you're going to look in the next 3 to 5 years where we're going to start creating cultural moments again, I believe. And I'm hopeful, Shawn, that the world's going to come back closer again together, maybe less divisive, maybe still microcultures under a macro culture, right? So micro swarms, micro tribes built under a macro component. But I'm hopeful that's what happens, Shawn. You follow me?
Yeah. So listen, it's funny you were just having this because we were just having this conversation with our 15-year-old last night sitting at the dinner table.
Yeah.
She likes Stranger Things. And she said when they drop the next season, she's going to stay up all night and binge watch it. And my wife and I were joking with her because my wife is 3 years younger than I am, or 3 months younger than I am. And we were joking with her like, do you realize we could, until 5 years ago, there was no such thing as binge watching. When we watched a whole season of, we were joking, because our families, we grew up around watching Dallas and Dynasty and Knots Landing.
Me
and
too.
All, right?
Oh, me too. 100%.
And we were talking about the episode when JR got shot, and that's how they ended the whole season, and then you had to wait 4 months. Right?
I remember going to a hockey game with my family, watching the Jets game, Shawn Nason, and that night, I remember it because it was the next fall, and it was the big reveal on the screen. It was who shot JR because we all waited all summer for the.
We waited all summer for it.
Yes, we did.
Right? So, tying it back to a swarm, what I have realized in my life is I want to surround myself with people that don't look like me.
Yes.
That don't think like me. That I can actually have healthy confrontational conversations. Like we have raised a generation that is conflict avoidance, that everyone gets a participation trophy, that no one's a loser, everyone's a winner. Now, maybe we should have used different terms, but I can tell you when I was a kid, when I remembered losing and what I learned from that. And yet we don't do that today. And yet we encourage everyone I live in a community where, for lack of better terms, we are and we didn't know this when we moved here, and we probably would have not necessarily done it this way, but we're 99%, middle to upper income, Caucasian. We live in a school district where we're pushing the boundaries as a family because if you don't go to college, there's something wrong with you. I remember the day we moved into the community we live in. At that time, I had blue hair. And it was like the freak show had just moved into town. People were standing out on their lawns looking like, who is this person? So, yeah, so the whole concept of a swarm, the whole concept of radical relationships that I talk a ton about on the platform is you've got to learn to be authentic, and you've got to learn to be comfortable with people that don't look like you or talk like you or act like you. And what a better world we would be in. I grew up in a politician's home. And so, believe me, I was around people that did not always act and think and love the way that my mother, who was the politician, thought. You talk about a weird dichotomy in a home. My mother was 6 feet tall, white politician, to my father, who was 20 years older than her, who was full-blooded Comanche Indian, a true redskin. My father truly had red skin. I just grew up in such a thing where diversity was not, I didn't even know the word diversity because I didn't have to.
Yes. I've went looking for it, Shawn. I myself, I've been thinking since I've started the show, been thinking a lot about these kinds of topics because I go looking for diversity because I get bored of what's the word, homogenous, the homogenous society, vanilla. I know it's such a cliche to say it. It's boring to me, but I crave diversity. I crave different points of view. When I started the lab, I have the exact same business perspective you are. I'm looking to build a community of people that want to drink similar Kool-Aid that I'm drinking.
So I will tell you this. This is the first time I've said this publicly. So you get people to break all the stuff here on your show, Keith.
Thank you.
Here in the lab. I'm going to test the water. And I'm going to build a community. And it's going to be called the Swarm.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I hope people that listen to this understand my heart when I say this. It's actually a community for men. And let me tell you why that is before you get any comments or I get thrown off the edge of the earth. Before the pandemic started, Keith, I had said we were already in a pandemic and people did not want to talk about it. In 2018, I did a bunch of reading, a bunch of studying on loneliness. Mm-hmm. And 80% of men dealt with loneliness in 2018.
Especially our demographic, Shawn Nason.
I just read an article this past week, Keith, that said 85% of men deal with loneliness. So it's gone up. And so what I want to do as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a business owner, all these roles that we play, is I want to create a safe place, a swarm for men to come into community and get personal help from other men, professional help for other men. I tell people it's not a Vistage. If people know what Vistage is out there,
I don't. Somebody said that to me recently. A mutual friend, Shawn Nason, and I was playing dumb along the way. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what it is. And then I'm like, I don't know what it is. What is
so Vistage is a group for CEOs.
Okay.
That you have to pay like $25,000 to be a part of, and monthly fees.
Okay.
And there's groups, there's communities everywhere, and I'm not saying anything bad around them.
Yeah,
they're called the Hampton Group.
Okay.
You and I mutually met through another group out here on LinkedIn, and what I realized is there is a space, probably more for our demographic, that says, yeah, I would love to have a safe place to be able to talk business, to be able to talk personally, because we still live in a society that is still so closed because of the pandemic. And I always use this analogy. Women are really good about getting together with their girlfriends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They get together with their girlfriends, they go have a drink, they have a glass of wine, they bitch, they complain about their husbands, their kids, their partner, whoever it might be. Then they give each other a hug, a kiss on the cheek, get in their cars, and they go home. And they got it out of it. What do men do? We go to sports bars, or we go to a sporting event. We order hot dogs, you drink a beer, and when the event's done with, you chest pump or you fist pump, and you leave your ways, and you've never had an authentic conversation.
Huh. So may I join you at this part of the conversation, Shawn?
Absolutely.
So I'm a male, but I don't identify with what you just talked about. So I'm not one of those guys who like to go and have the hot dog and have the beers and have the fist pump and have the raw. Never have been. It's taken me a long time to be comfortable speaking about it. I do it now all the time. I don't care. No, I'm an emotional guy. Like I started almost crying when you started talking about the swarm thing here about men, because I'm like, no, I grew up in a blue collar family. My dad was a hard man. Loved my dad to pieces. But when dad was working in the garage, I wanted to go in the house and make cookies with my mom. Right. I crave emotional connections. I crave emotional connections through conversation. I haven't had a drink in 8 years. I got nothing against drinking. For all my buddies that like to have drinks, all the power. Awesome. No judgment. I don't care. Grace. We all like to do certain things. I just crave emotional human connections with men, women, whoever that may be. So when I've always struggled, Shawn, and to be honest with you, when I met you, when I didn't even know you, when I met you through your image, I knew we were the same.
But there's a whole nother discussion in that, because, and I'm an emotional basket case. Like my wife makes fun of me. If we're watching a Hallmark movie, she's like looking at me, waiting to see how long it is before I start crying. Right.
Dude, I'm the same with animal movies. Do not put me on an animal movie, like with dogs or dolphins or nope, not happening.
So you said to me just then, you saw the emotion and felt the emotion from the picture.
Yes.
So I'm going to swing to another conversation here, because I've been having these conversations a lot lately, and it goes back to LinkedIn.
Yes.
Do you think, Keith, that people are more interested in knowing your story at first before knowing what you do, or knowing what you do before they know your story?
Oh, interesting question.
And this is where I'm getting at with this.
Yeah.
There's a huge discussion around the banners on LinkedIn. My banner tells my story right up front.
Yeah.
I don't talk about what I do in it. Nothing. But yet there's a whole group that believes you should have that right up on your banner.
That you should have what up on your banner? What you do? Like what you're selling?
You do, what you're selling.
I don't know. Is there a right or a wrong answer? Can there be room for both and allow grace and judgment for both?
Yeah.
Because I think it's okay, because I don't really care what somebody had. Because I'll go back to when I saw your picture. I saw your picture and then I read your text. But when I saw your picture, I saw me.
Mm-hmm.
To be frank with you, because I've had I've had the great hair, I've had the great nails, I've had the great outfits, I've had the great pictures. I've been Shawn Nason. I am Shawn Nason in many ways. So when I saw you, I'm like, oh, I can relate to this dude. We're totally going to get along just fine, because he's comfortable with being himself, and he's comfortable sharing his story about himself. Those that aren't going to make fake shit up.
Goes back to that lie stuff that we talked about at the beginning.
Yes. Right? So then you manufacture what you want everything to look like, right? But that's fine. If that's how somebody wants to live with their own mirror, that's I've learned. Hey, my friend, I'm 1 year older than you. So I've learned in my 1 year older than you to have a little more grace maybe than you. So I'm like, oh, okay, you can have your banner the way you want to have your banner.
Here's where this has led me to probably my second announcement that I will make to you today. You're getting it all right here, Keith.
Dude, I gotta start getting the second typing going on here for the next banner. All right, I'm ready for this one, Shawn Nason.
It is. I have made a decision that I'm going to do a mastermind group for a 3-month mastermind group for people who want to move from transactional to relational on LinkedIn. And so here's where I'm getting at. There is a group of us out there on LinkedIn who want to build community, who want to be thought leaders, right? And so if that is the case, let's start doing that. And so that's what I'm going to do.
I think it's brilliant. I applaud you for the announcement that Shawn Nason's building a mastermind group for people that want to move from transactional to relational on LinkedIn. I had a fellow on my show yesterday, Shawn Nason. I would invite you if you can find. I had to cut it short because he had a meeting to go to, and I wanted to be selfish and learn other stuff from him because he gave me 42 minutes of relationship nuggets. His name is Brandon Barnum. He's built his entire career in business on nothing but giving himself and everything away for free for referrals. He's like, oh yeah, Keith, everybody wants to make lots of cash, but nobody wants to do it for free. He goes, I do it for free all the time. I refer, connect, relationship. He's like, Keith, I was just taking it all in because I know some of the conversations that have been happening, hearing some of them, right? I didn't know we were going to have this one today, but knowing what you're saying now, like you got to go listen to Brandon Barnum. I'll introduce you to, because that's one thing I've been really fortunate. I'm meeting such awesome human beings every single day in the lab. But the guy is drinking the relationship Kool-Aid. He's built his entire business on relationships. He's like, he goes, Keith, people have it all wrong. He's like, everybody's just too focused on transactions. He goes, transaction is one. He goes, relationships are many. I was like, oh, interesting. So there's a dude for the mastermind. Get him to speak for you. HOA.com, Brandon Barnum. What's shaking, Brandon? I'm going to introduce you to Shawn. You guys got to meet because he is all about what you're talking about.
Yeah, man.
Why Shawn not why. When you say it's gone to, there's this impetus to drive transactional relationships. What does that mean to you when you say transaction compared to relational?
I think it goes back to what we were just talking about.
Yes.
When I set out to do what I have done on, it's weird. Again, I don't know what I set out to do on LinkedIn, except I wanted to learn it and I wanted to do one platform really well. And I wanted social proof in the industry. And I'll go back. 2021 on my podcast, have a guest. Gentleman's name is Shep Hyken. He's a guru in the customer experience contact center space.
Yes.
We finish the episode and I say to him, Shep, how the hell do you keep up with all the social medias? Like, I don't know how you do it. And he said, Shawn, I don't. He said, I made a decision a few years ago that I was going to do one platform and I was going to do it really well. Mm-hmm. And he said, that's my best piece of advice to you. Mm-hmm. So I said, awesome. Get off the phone. I'm talking with my right-hand guy named Michael. And we knew right away. We both looked at each other and said, LinkedIn. Like the people that we do consulting for on LinkedIn, the people we want to do consulting for is on LinkedIn, the people that speak your language, Shawn, and have your heart on LinkedIn. And I started the journey. But it was funny because I look back on it and the coach that I hired, amazing guy, Corey Warfield is his name. When I started with him, he had 225,000 followers. Today, he has 550,000. And he taught me everything relational on LinkedIn and taught me how to be relational and what to do and how to go down the path. And at that time, he said to me, give me 3 profiles of people you want to be like from a thought leadership perspective. And in those 3 people, I gave him Shep Hyken. And I love Shep to death. And Shep had 35. He may be up to 40,000 followers now. And I thought, there is no way I'm going to get to that. So when I hit 100,000 followers this year, people were like, huh? What are you doing? And I'm like, oh, Christopher. Hey, Christopher, buddy.
I got to get in my lyrics. Loatman, I owe you my lyrics, man.
I have to get in my keys still, so don't feel bad. That's probably why he's lurking after us both.
The old guys are holding up the song.
You two, get off the show and go get this song done.
To everybody listening, Keith and Shawn are in a boy band. We'll just leave it there. We'll just leave it there. You guys,
boy band out there, right?
We're gonna launch it on the show here. So Shawn's gonna come back to launch our boy band experience.
And so I struggle, and I've always struggled, and I don't. Again, this is part of being part of the swarm. There are people that are transactional driven.
Yeah.
And I have some very good friends that are, and I love them to death. It's just not for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's okay. I think what you have the courage to do, though, that many don't, is just acknowledge that it's not for you.
So if you want to have that transactional type of relationship on LinkedIn, I'm not going to be the person you want to surround yourself with to learn it. Now, I hope you surround yourself with me because we can be friends.
Yes.
But I can't teach you that. But I have a big network. I can send you to places that will teach you that. If you have a full-time job and want to learn how to do LinkedIn, I can tell you that I moved my following from 5,000 to 105,000 and worked 60 to 70 hours a week in a job. So it's doable. You don't have to spend 6 hours a day on the platform. Mm-hmm. So there are many methodologies out there, and we need to acknowledge it and support each of those. And I'm happy to support all of it. I'm just telling people around me, I'm about relationships. You want to be a part of a mastermind group to learn how to move from transactions or to build relationships on LinkedIn, I'm the place to go. If that's not what you want, let me find the place for you to go.
Mm-hmm. So Shawn Nason, every great host is wary of the time, and I want to be respectful of yours. I do have some extra time to go a little bit into overtime. Clearly, we have to come back because we haven't talked cancer. We haven't talked Disney. We haven't talked experience. We haven't talked a lot of the things people came in to get us from, which is awesome. I knew this is so. I had a guest on my show a few weeks back. His name was Christian Espinosa. Shawn, before he came in the lab, I looked at brief his resume and I thought to myself, holy crap, how am I going to get this all done in an hour? Sure enough. I was like, okay, the Espinosa effect is kicking in here, where I got to go into it's like the Rogan effect, 2, 3 hour, 4 hour conversations. Clearly we can have a long one going on here. Do you have a few extra minutes for me?
I do have a few.
Awesome. Let's do it. So we've talked about community. We've talked about swarm. Let me just offer this to you. I sometimes think that people overcomplicate everything, because I know when I came on the platform here, Shawn, because I ghosted social when I was selling my business and went through divorce and just got away from everything for a while, and months ago decided, okay, I'm going to come back to social. I'm going to start on LinkedIn, because a lot of fakeness. At the end of the day, there's human beings there and there's wallets. And that's what I want. I want humans and wallets. I want real humans and wallets. And then I know if that I can connect with a real human being in a wallet on LinkedIn, I can find them on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else. But for me, LinkedIn was the starting point. Shawn, and again, maybe this is why I'm going to fanboy on you for a second here. Probably this is why I was attracted to you. I'm attracted to you, Shawn. There's a soundbite. There's a soundbite, nation. We're in the boy band together. Keith's attracted to Shawn.
There it is. That's the gift of the century right there. Yes. Oh, Lord. Yes.
Long pause to make sure it edits properly as well, my friend, with the music in there. It's just going to make its way across the LinkedIn rounds with the breaking news ticker at the bottom. Shawn Nason I should make a ticker saying Keith Bilous is attracted to Shawn Nason.
There you go, brother.
But no, I was attracted to you because I saw that you were a real, authentic human, and that you were standing there with all to bear. Yeah, I had cancer and I survived. It sucked. Yeah, I've been this, I've been this, I've been this, and here's what I am. Some of you will like me, some of you won't like me, and that, my friend, is your key, because that's my key. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. and know that. And you know that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I think as a human being can recognize that, all bets are off, man.
And it really is, I thank my family for that.
Yes.
Going back to growing up with a politician in your home.
Yes.
I knew from the very beginning that some people liked my mother and some people really despised my mother. And so we were taught that way. Be who you are, stay true it.
Yes.
Do it. And some people are going to like you. Some people aren't going to like you. And it's okay.
And that weaves back to really our whole conversation today around community and swarms and audience. Yeah. Feel free to build an audience. Some are going to like you, some aren't, because they're going to tune you in and tune you out. Once you want to get out of your audiences, you want to find the ones that keep you tuned in. You want to lean into them. You want to build relationships. And then you want to build community with that group. And then ideally, there's a group within that community you get even closer to, and they become your stands. They become your Swifties, right? Yeah. That is like, you look at the stands of the world, the Swifties of the world, that's a product market fit. That's community.
That's community. So listen, people say to me, you have 105,000 followers. That's great.
Yeah.
And that 105,000 followers, I am looking to build a community of men somewhere between 50 and 100. Oh, Lord, here we go. Backstory like Fleetwood Mac had for Dreams. There we go. This is getting really, this is going places. And I tell people, you're right. It is totally around product market fit. Mm-hmm. I want 12 people to join a mastermind group with me who want to go from transactional to relational on a platform. Mm-hmm. 12. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking for 1,200. Mm-hmm. 12. That's the swarms. That's the community that gets built.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shawn Nason, how can people find you? Those that are listening right now that maybe don't know who they are, they want to know, but those that are part of your audience, what would you say to your audience that aren't part of your community yet?
Strike up a conversation with me. I am on other social medias, but obviously I sit a lot on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. What I will tell them too is we've used this word a lot now, don't pitch slap me. I don't want to know what you sell. I don't want to know let's have a relationship before we even get into any of those conversations.
Oh man, I've been having people drop into my DMs lately here who just boom. And I'm like, you don't see my profile? I don't sell a product. I'm actually talking for a living.
And those are the ones that crack me up.
I know, right?
Like you get a message and it has nothing to do with what you do. And I calmly just typically screenshot that message back to them and go, hey, maybe you should read the profile before you send the message.
Yeah. I've been feeding back 3 words to people. Who are you? Because I'm literal. Who are you? I don't know you. I would love to if you want me to buy from you, then allow me to get to know you. And then I might open my wallet for you. But if you can't answer me the question, who are you? Because that's like you just showing my door saying, hey, buy this from me. Who are you? Like, who are you?
Yep.
Shawn,
if they're not on LinkedIn, ShawnNason.com. They can go there. Hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, the mastermind group will be up on the website. And by the end of the week, the swarm, the community will be up there for people to look at, find interest in. And if they want to join, they can join.
Fantastic. I'll tell you, I'm hoping you will join me again so we can get into round. I know you will. We got this. There's a bromance happening here. I just confessed my attraction to you in front of the whole world. So, and Christopher Loutman's already comparing us to Fleetwood Mac.
Hey, listen, compare me to Fleetwood Mac. Compare me.
Okay, so let me ask you this question on the record. Shawn Nason, has this last hour been as good for you as it's been for me?
It has.
Awesome.
I need a cigarette now.
Because I do invite people to check out this if they wanted to with me. Oh, I got the best idea for you. So I want to invite you to take me to bed with you. Yeah, it's a true story. There's a hook. So I can. Hey, listen, if you don't want to put on Conan or Letterman or Leno, no, I know it's not 1980. You can put on Nason and Bilous, 11 o'clock with 58 minutes of conversation. Just at the end here, when we're getting all freaky, it's time to go to sleep. So
That's right. All right, buddy.
Nason, I have thoroughly appreciated you. I'm just going to put you back in the green room for one quick second. I'm going to say goodbye to my community, Business Athlete Nation, and I'm going to come walk you out of the door, okay?
All right.
Hang tight. 1 second, pal. Boom. All right. That was fun. Yeah, I have to admit, that was fun. It was enlightening. It was entertaining. And most importantly, it was intimate. And no, come on. Stop with the crap in your head. It was a conversation between two men. It was a conversation that was enlightening. It was a conversation that was inspiring. And it was a conversation that I hope was inviting to you. And I hope it was an invitation for you to go meet Shawn, go knock on his door, go check out his community. And I hope it was an additional invitation for you to keep tuning in to me here in the lab. I'll tell you, you go check out Shawn, you go check out me, you're probably seeing a lot of similarities. No, I wasn't born to a Comanche Indian. Pretty cool dad, though. Pretty cool mom. I'm sure just like Shawn's parents. But I think that Shawn and Keith are drinking similar Kool-Aids. So I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I'm going to go walk out my new friend, Shawn Nason, out of the lab. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for Mornings in the Lab. And hey, don't forget, go pick your teeth. You'll live longer. True story. Yeah. We'll see you guys later.